Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of In the Corner. I'm Cash. Today we have episode 136, and my goodness, do we have a lot to talk about. We've got a huge weekend coming up, mainly just because of UFC 326, Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira 2 for the BMF, and Zuffa Boxing 4, Opetaia Brandon Glanton, the first ever Zuffa title fight. But we've also got some other stuff, and we had some huge news. Eddie Hearn has launched Matchroom Talent Agency, so he is now the manager of Tom Aspinall. That's their first signee, the UFC heavyweight champion. This is a huge way that he's firing back at Dana White for the Conor Benn signing. It's crazy. We also know that MVP has now signed a multi-year deal with ESPN to promote their, all-female cards. PFLs have released Francis Ngannou. Naoya Nakatani is official. We're getting the UFC White House announcement on Saturday. We have a Misfits card. Let's just jump into all of it. So much to talk about. First off, UFC 326. And, this is a very top-heavy card, I think. I was looking at it at the beginning of the week, like, all right, what we got? And I was like, okay, Max Charles, Kyo RDR, is that co-main? And then from that point off, it just really drops off. I think for a numbered event, this is very disappointing, but nonetheless, still some good fights. Max and Charles, this is still a great fight. Look, it's a BMF title fight, but this is a kind of fight that should absolutely be headlining a numbered event just because it's two superstars, it's two fan favorites. I'm seeing all the memes about everyone saying "Oh man, somebody's gonna have to lose," and that's a scary truth. But as for how I see this one going, I see it going by the way of Max Holloway. Probably by decision. Maybe he can finish him later. I don't know. It can very much go to Charles Oliveira winning as well. It's just that you think about for Oliveira to get a win, I have to think it's a submission. That's what he is. He's the submission artist. But I just don't see Max Holloway getting finished. He's not a very easy guy to finish. I think he's tough as nails, and I think that he overall is in a better stage of his career than Charles is. Both these guys have been recently brutally knocked out by Ilia Topuria, so it's hard to say, oh, I'm the BMF when the champion of the division has both knocked out both of them. But I think what is most important about this fight is the winner is really going to get entered into the Conor McGregor sweepstakes. I think they could be the perfect opponent for McGregor to come back to. Maybe not if he's trying to win, but I don't know. I think it'd be a big fight. I do see Max winning it. I just think that he's got better striking. Of course he does. But I think he's got much better striking, and I think he's going to do a good job of keeping the fight standing up and not going to the ground. And if it doesn't go to the ground, I think Charles is just going to be second best in the striking game, and I don't see that going his way. Co-main event, Caio Borralho versus Reinier de Ridder. This is one that I bounced around on a lot because I really think that people kind of gave RDR a little bit too much shit for his last performance. He was not good. He quit on the stool, but he said he had anemia or whatever the thing is where his body was just overworked. He had 4 or 5 fights last year, and he was going just completely just right out of fight camp, right back in, and just didn't give himself enough time to rest. Caio, on the other hand, definitely gave himself enough time to rest. I think he only had 1 fight last year, maybe 2. He's coming off the decision loss to Nasruddin Imavov, which, again, he did not win that fight, but he did okay in it. I don't know. I think this is a really, really good fight. I think it makes a lot of sense for the middleweight division. And the winner of this is going to be just maybe 1-2 wins away from another title shot, or another potential title shot. I'm picking Caio to win it. I think the RDR is very much capable of it, though. I really, really think he's able to pull off the upset here. He's a small underdog. I'm sitting with Caio winning at 55%. It's a very, very close fight. That's just kind of the way I'm seeing it happening. Before that, Rob Font defends his ranking against Raul Rosas Jr. I mean, this is a very easy fight in terms of what they're trying to do here. This is the young prospect coming through, going against the old guard. I see Raul taking him out. Maybe not finishing him, but I see him beating Rob Font, taking it to the ground where he's definitely going to be the better wrestler, and I think that he beats him. Drew Dober, Michael Johnson is a fight that I don't know if it should be on the main card, but I'm really looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun. Most knockouts in lightweight history, most knockdowns in lightweight division, or not, maybe not lightweight history, but lightweight division. Yeah, should be a very, very fun matchup. I'm going to pick Drew Dober in that one, but we'll see. And then RoboCop is back against Bruno Ferreira, a rematch. Ferreira did win the first fight, but I'm going to pick RoboCop to win this one just because I feel like he's just turned into such a unit. The issue with him is once he gets out of the first round, his gas tank just depletes. And Bruno Ferreira can definitely go the full 15 minutes and look good during them. So if he can, keep RoboCop open for the first round, he can beat him. But I'm going to side with RoboCop. And then you go at the prelims, and it's just like, yeah, it's just not very deep. Featured prelim, Cody Garbrandt. He's back against Zhao Long. Um, I like Cody Garbrandt. I feel like he always is like, or not always, but very often is close to winning the fight. It's competitive, but he's just always something missing. This is a very, very winnable fight for him, but I'm going to pick Long just because I can't trust him. Before that, Dante Johnson is back. I think he's 7-0 with 7 finishes. He's fighting Cody Brundage, who just fought a couple weeks ago. I'm picking Dante Johnson in that one. Alberto Montez over, Ricky Turcios, Nayam Jargul, Tumen Dembarrel over Cody Durden just because of that tough picture of him in like the Mongolian winter outfit. It was awesome. Sumu Derje versus Jesus Aguilar. Probably Sumu Derje, I think that one. Yeah, so it should be I'm hoping it's a fun card, but again, for a numbered event, this is very, very weak. This is like a fight night card. You know, like if you take Max and Charles out of this and you just have Kyle versus RDR in the main event, this is like a solid fight night card. And that's not great. But that's not the only thing the TKO group is providing us with this weekend. It's not the only fight card. We also have Zuffa Boxing 4. Jai Opetaia is going to challenge Brandon Glanton for the vacant Zuffa Boxing cruiserweight title. It's the first time they put the title on the line, and you know, again, for them not having a ton of fighters, this is a really good main event. I think this is honestly Opetaia's best opponent since like the Myers-Briedis rematch. Glanton is actually a top 10, top 15 cruiserweight. He's a good fighter. He's got a lot of power. He's always fun. His fight with Chris Smith was awesome. But of course, I'm going to pick Jai Opetaia winning this fight. I think he's the best cruiserweight in the world. I think he is a level above Glanton. But I can see Glanton maybe even taking him the full 12. I could really, really see it. I'm excited. This is the first time Zuffa's had a main event that I think that people are genuinely excited for. Like, this is the biggest boxing match of the weekend, and we're all looking forward to it. It should be fun. It's unclear as of right now if the IBF title is going to be on the line. Jai has said that he wants it to be on the line. He earned that title and he wants to fight for it. But the IBF told him you have to choose either you fight for the IBF title or you fight for the Zuffa. You don't fight for both. And I think the Zuffa is not going to let him fight for the IBF. He's going to have to fight for that Zuffa title. It's what they've been promoting. So because of that, I don't see the IBF title being on the line. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. He's going to have to vacate it at some point or another. He says he still wants to go to for Undisputed. It just doesn't make any sense to me why he's in this position, why he signed with Zuffa, because it's just completely opposite of his career goals. But who knows, man? Who knows? Speaking of Zuffa Boxing, USA Boxing today withdrew their support for the Ali Revival Act, so they're not opposing it, but they're just sitting on the fence. Look, I would like to say, yes, this is good, but I think it's too late. That, revival, whatever it is already going to get through legislation. I think it's already a shoo-in to get passed. So I appreciate them trying to be on the right side of history, but it's not gonna make a difference. Other than that, the rest of the card: Ricardo Salas versus Jesus Sriracha. Awesome fight. This is something that would have been on Pro Box. Here we get it on Zuffa. Great co-main event. Aiden Palma, he's back fighting Pablo Rubio. Both of these guys 14-0. That's on the main card. That should be a really fun fight. Vlad Panin, Shinard Bunch on the prelims. Some other guys like Jacob Ramos, who lost his last fight, his first loss, but because he's on Zuffa, he gets to come back and he's fighting another undefeated opponent. I love to see that. Emiliano Alvarado also just fought a few weeks ago, and he's already back. Good to see. We also have Misfits Duel 2 on Saturday, headlined by Ty Mitchell, Gabriel Rosado. This is one of the better Misfits pro fights that they've done. I think it's a really, really good test for Ty Mitchell. I'm going to pick him to win the fight, but I can really see it going the way of Gabriel Rosado. I was very impressed that Ty Mitchell, his run in 2025 where he took out Idris Virgo, and then he beat Sean Hemphill. I didn't think he was going to beat Hemphill because Hemphill was coming off the win over Mark Jeffers. Like, he's a legit ranked guy with the WBA. And Ty Mitchell is showing that he could be a world-ranked fighter himself. Gabriel Rosado has not been in a big fight in a long time. This is just an 8-rounder. It's in Mitchell's backyard. It's not going to go on their pro record. It's going to be an MF pro fight, not box pro. I think Mitchell wins, but it really could go either way because I don't think Mitchell's as good as they crack him up to me. He's not going to be fighting for a world title in a year or two. It's just not going to happen. Elsewhere on the card, you got Walid Sharks fighting Argentinian King. That fight has had a ton of bad blood this week. It's going to be really fun. I'm picking Wally to win that one. He should be able to. He's a much better boxer than Argentinian King is, but who knows? He hasn't won since, I think, almost 3 years. He's only had 2 fights since that last win, but, you also have Carla Jade versus Pro Gonzalez. Misfits champ versus Misfits champ. Jade coming up to Pro Gonzalez's weight class. Gonzalez just had 1 fight with Misfits. Carla Jade has had 5. 4 of those are wins. 1 of them's a draw. I don't really like her. She's boring. and she's got kind of a trashy attitude, but she just wins. She just wins. Her last one over Taylor Starling was close, but she got it done, and you have to respect that. She just will not go away, and she stays active. She's maybe the most active fighter on Misfits roster. I'm going to have to pick her to beat Pearl Gonzalez tomorrow. We'll see what kind of fashion, but I don't know. Tempo Arts, their former heavyweight champion, he's back fighting Jordan Banjo. I expect that one to be fun. I expect him to win. Jay Jones, who's like a Taekwondo Olympian, which they're trying to say, oh my gosh, she's an Olympian, but yeah, for a completely non-striking sport, it has nothing to do with boxing. But she's fighting Egypt Chris, I don't know who that is, so I don't know. We'll see. And then Justin Ibarola, the BKFC bantamweight champion, is fighting on this card against a nobody. I don't really know why he's on the card, but he is, so that's cool. Going back to Zuffa just for a second, I had it written down and forgot. Mark Magsayo is officially signed with Zuffa Boxing, representing the Philippines. He's going to be returning and making his debut with them at Zuffa 5 in April. I believe that date is meant to be April 5th on Easter Sunday. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, he'll be debuting on whenever they have the next Zuffa card in April. That'll probably be announced soon, and I expect him to be main event. Just curious about who he's going to be fighting. Pro Box TV is another card in Mexico this time with Jessiel Ramon Amador versus Pedro Delgado. Should be pretty fun. I mean, I think Amador is like 13-0-1 with 13 knockouts, so you're guaranteed for a fun fight there. And then Delgado himself, not a bad record, 17-1-1 with 10 knockouts. That should be fun. We were also meant to have what was going to be a WBO interim cruiserweight title between Fres and Kaurovich this weekend. That got moved to May 30th. I didn't know that until this week. But yeah, so that card will be on May 30th and not this weekend. And I don't know if that WBO interim title is still on the line. Last night we had a really fun card in Canada. Stephen Butler knocked out Ramadan Iseni in the second round. A fantastic knockout. Again, the guy is just consistent entertaining. There's a reason why he's always headlining those cards in Montreal, why he's a fan favorite in the Canadian crowd. There's a reason why they call him Bang Bang. And it's because of that. Most of his knockouts come in the early rounds. If not, you're going to have a close competitive fight with him, and he may finish you later on, or you may finish him. But Hiseni, who's coming off a great win over Alexandre Gaumont last year, they bring him back, they give him another opportunity, and Butler shows him whose backyard this is with a brutal knockout. It was crazy. John Arobio as well. He knocked out Yomar Alamo. The first time Alamo has been straight up knocked out, and that was a scary one. The way that he went out. And, yeah, I mean, just both those guys. Arobio, one of the best prospects in the sport. Another big step up for him. And he does what only other Richardson Hitchens had ever done in stopping Alamo, but in far more impressive fashion. Other than that, Lenar Perez goes the distance with Isaac Chilemba. 100-90 all the way around. Impressive performance. Didn't get him out of there, which I was kind of hoping he would, given Chilemba's age and Perez's record. You know, you would have assumed you'd get him out, but oh well. Steve Claggett came back, second round finish himself over Alejandro Rodriguez. Mismatch, but I hope they can give Claggett a fun fight this year. Moreno Fendero and Sean McCalman had a really close fight that I don't think was properly represented in the cards. It was a unanimous decision. 96-94, Fendero, no issues with. I had a 95-95. Thought McCalman did a ton of good work, but 98-92, Fendero is just not the story of the fight. But, yeah, really good fight. We knew going into that was going to be a tough challenge for Fendero, and it certainly was. Dante Tice, he impressed me on the prelims. Finished his opponent in the fourth round, just all action. And then Dalen Pepin as well. He had a 4-round unanimous decision victory. So another fun out of the Tiger card. Their first time on DAZN. I enjoyed it. I hope that all their cards are on DAZN. It makes it so much easier. But, yeah, fun fight card last night. All right, let's talk about Matchroom. Yeah, so Eddie Hearn out of nowhere announces Matchroom Talent Agency, and they have signed Tom Aspinall. This is, a completely new extension to their brand. We know Matchroom is not just Matchroom Boxing, it's Matchroom Sports. So they also have snooker and darts and all that other fun stuff. Now they also have Talent Agency. So this is not a promotional deal. Tom Aspinall is not starting to box, although I think this definitely sets up a path for him after his UFC career. Anyways, this is not him signing with Matchroom Boxing. Eddie Hearn is essentially his manager, not his promoter, but as a manager, Eddie Hearn may be more qualified than anybody ever. He knows how both sides of the deal works here, and he's going to be able to get Tom Aspinall some really good deals. It's going to be definitely kind of tough. You know that Tom Aspinall does not have the best favor with Dana White in the UFC. This is not going to help him with the beef that Dana and Eddie have had recently. And there's obviously a fireback at Dana signing Conor Benn. I think it's a brilliant fireback because you're not going to sign a UFC fighter. You're not going to sign Conor McGregor to come box with you, but doing this where you're going to be consistent pain in the ass and draining the money because Eddie's going to fight for a good deal for Tom Aspinall, and say, look, I mean, you gave Conor Benn $15 million. Why are you only giving Aspinall 800,000? Like we deserve 10 million. So it's definitely going to be a lot of interesting stuff like that. I'm curious if the UFC will not play along with a lot of it. Dana has already responded and said, I don't really care. Like he can sign with whoever he wants. I have no issues with Aspinall. I have no issues with Eddie. But we know that isn't true, and we know that the UFC definitely has their managers they like and their managers they don't like. So very, very interesting. Really funny that Eddie fired back like that. Eddie and Dana were even talking about a boxing match, both saying they're down, even though it's not going to happen. It'd be hilarious and would break the internet, but no. Eddie also said that more UFC fighters want to sign with him. I would not be surprised at that at all. We'll see if any of them do and who they are. But yeah, this is definitely a very, very funny way for Eddie to bounce back. MVPW officially launched today, the women's side of MVP, which is really the whole company. It's very women focused, but they've launched with a multi-year deal on ESPN through 2028. So they're going to be, we don't know if they're going to be the only boxing people on ESPN. As we know, Top Rank is apparently also in negotiations to reignite their deal with the leader in sports broadcasting. But we know their first few cards, the MVPW 01, as they're calling it, is going to be April 5th. That's their UK show on Sky Sports. The second one is going to be Alicia Baumgardner defending her unified super featherweight championships against Bo Mi Shin, who obviously got beat by Caroline Dubois last year. She was getting dominated until she wasn't, and she almost stopped Dubois in the last 2 rounds. So that's kind of a fun matchup, and that's going to be 10 3-minute rounds. Shadeja Green, Lanny Daniels is going to be co-main event on that for a super middleweight title fight. That's a really, really good fight. And then the third card, and that's at April 17th at the MSG Theater. And then in El Paso, Texas on May 30th, MVPW3 is going to be the rematch between Stephanie Hahn and Holly Holm. It had to happen. I think it goes pretty much the same way. Stephanie Hahn was dominating that fight until the cut, and I think that she wins this one as well. But yeah, I really, really like this lineup of fights. They're big fights. Boxing is back on ESPN. MVP is the only boxing promoter currently with an ESPN deal. That's huge. This again just establishes them as a leader in the sport. It's just a question of, is this MVP or MVPW? Because they have definitely way more women's fighters, but they still have a handful of men's fighters aside from just Jake Paul, who's going to fight on Netflix and such. But like, what happens to when you have headliners like Lucas Body or Yankiel Rivera or Avius Griffin or Juana Walton? These stars that you guys have for the men's side. What do they do? And I expect that they'll either be on the undercards of these fights and they'll still, just be whatever, or they'll be on one-off events on DAZN, or they'll even be on ESPN and it just won't be an MVPW event. I don't know, but it's a very, very interesting time. I say it all the time, but MVP is something breaking news. Like every week they have a new huge record they're breaking or new thing. It's just crazy. Dana White confirmed we're going to do the UFC White House announcement on Saturday. Hopefully during the broadcast, and hopefully it's not like an IG live after. We need this to be a big announcement. I'm so curious what the main event is going to be. That's obviously going to be the topic of the next episode is the UFC White House. We're going to know the whole card, and I cannot wait. We waited long enough to know what is going to happen on this fight card, what it's going to look like, and we're almost there. Speaking of announcement, Naoya Inoue, Junto Nakatani has been officially announced for May 2nd at the Tokyo Dome. We knew it. Does not seem like it's going to be a Ring Magazine card. Seems like it's going to be Ohashi, which is cool with me. I'm just curious, how are we going to be able to watch it? Hopefully Top Rank figures out some kind of way. I don't want to have to watch it on Facebook or the Top Rank Classics channel, but that's what I expect we'll watch it on. Takuma Inoue versus Kazuto Ioka has been confirmed as the co-main event. What another all-Japanese world title banger that is. Takuma Inoue's first defense of that title, he beat Tenshin Nasukawa for in November. Kazuto Ioka just moved up to 118, still a top Japanese fighter after his losses to Puma Martinez. Really, really interesting fight that I can see going either way. I love it. And yeah, that's a great co-feature, I think. You also have Shushu Carrington kind of throwing some smoke at Inoue, telling him, if you want to be a superstar, you got to be a superstar in the U.S. You got to come fight me, which, I like Shushu making that case for himself, but I disagree. I mean, Inoue's about to sell at the Tokyo Dome again. He is a superstar. More on the Golden Boy Virgil Ortiz saga. The judge rules in favor of Golden Boy against Virgil, saying that they are still his promoter. Virgil does not have the rights to waive that temporary restraining order and continue negotiating with the Boots fight. If he is going to do it, it has to be with Golden Boy, and that Boots fight likely is no longer next. Virgil responds and says he will not reconcile with Golden Boy. But then we hear about the Golden Boy contract, and they've got him roped him in for a long time. I think he's meant to be with them until the end of 2027. And then he also, if he wins a world title, that's another year added onto his contract automatically. And after that, Golden Boy has a 6-month exclusive negotiating and matching period. So it's like, dude, like he's not getting out of this. If his career goes well and gets a world title, he's not getting out of this until almost 2030. That's crazy. That's insane. I don't know why he thought his contract was up when it seems like it's clearly not, but it is what it is, dude. I just hope this can all get resolved soon and Virgil can fight and hopefully he fights Boots. But if I'm Matchroom, I'm moving on from this and getting another fight for Boots done because Virgil may not fight for a while. It's breaking news this morning as PFL officially released Francis Ngannou. It doesn't sound like this contract was up. I believe it was meant to be up at the end of the year, or if Francis had his second fight of the deal. It seems like they either made a deal to just both walk away, or the PFL cut him. I would expect it's the first one because you still have Francis Ngannou. You still want to keep him around as much as you can and try and get a fight with him. But I think it was clear that he just wasn't going to do it. He totally kind of scammed them. They got one fight out of him. He barely did anything for PFL Africa, which they made a huge investment into. And yeah, so obviously the word on the street, the rumor is now that he's going to try and get a fight on that Netflix card on Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano. I would honestly be surprised if he doesn't end up on it. He's the hottest free agent yet again in MMA. He's now with the PFL. He's not going to go back to the UFC, although he may try. I think he'll end up on Netflix on that co-main event, and that would be huge. And people are saying, oh, they can set up a fight with him and Jake Paul in 2027. I don't want to see him fight Jake Paul, but I would like to see him on that Netflix card. I think it'd be a great co-main event there, because they need other big fights on that card. In other news, the WBC have officially ordered, or actually they haven't ordered, but there is a done deal for Lamont Roach, William Zepeda supposedly, and that was brought to the WBC, and they approved it for the vacant lightweight title. So it looks like that's going to be happening soon. I love it. It's a really, really interesting fight. These guys are both, again, like I said, top ranked with the WBC. It's a good matchup. Roach coming back to 135. Zepeda all action. That's kind of a 50-50 fight. I guess Roach would be the favorite, but I don't know, man. I really like that, and it's a good one, and just back-to-back world title fights for both of them. Obviously, one coming off 2 draws, one coming off a loss. Not the best run, but they're both really good. There's rumors that it's going to be on the same card as Tank vs. Pitbull 2 in the summer. I haven't heard much about Tank Pitbull 2. It seems like that could be the choice for Tank's return. I don't understand how Tank is able to fight when he's potentially going to prison. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't really have a lot of interest in Tank coming back. I think that he does need to retire. But if he does, I think Pitbull's a good opponent to come back against, and these two on the same card would be awesome. Sets up a fight between the winners. Meanwhile, this is obviously for the interim title. The main title, Dalton Smith was just ordered to defend against Alberto Puello, who, of course, lost the title against Subriel Matias in a very close fight. Smith beats Matias. Puello was promised his title shot yet again, and so here we are, Smith versus Puello. I think Matchroom definitely wanted to bring Dalton Smith a bit of an easier homecoming fight for, I think June is what they're planning in Sheffield, but he may have to defend against Puello on that timetable, but that's okay. Meanwhile, the Bivol versus Michael Eifert purse bid's been delayed. I don't understand what the issue with this fight is. We were told it was going to be on the Saudi card in May. That looks like that card is Usyk versus Rico. Also hearing Jaime Munguia could come back on that card, which I would love to see. Surprised he's not on, or you'll probably be on that and then also on the Mexico against the World card. But if he's on there, if you get Bivol versus Eifert, that's a fantastic card. It seems like Bivol is being planned to be on this Egypt card, and I would like to see him there. I just don't understand what the holdup is with this. I mean, I can't think that Michael Eifert's fighting for that much money. And if Turkey's behind this, there's no way they aren't able to pay them each whatever they want. So it's just really weird. UFC 328 looking like it's going to be May 9th in Newark. Already heard some fights that are on it. Ateba Gautier, Ozzy Diaz, and Roman Kopylov, Marco Tulio are both apparently confirmed for the card. So those are both solid. And then you also have rumors that John Silva versus Aljamain Sterling is in the works, which is a great featherweight fight. Makes a lot of sense. We're trying to figure out, okay, winner of Movsar and Lerone is going to get the next title shot. Who's next after them? These are two of the guys that are on that level. They win this. They are really in those sweepstakes. You, of course, have people like Yair Rodriguez there, but I think that the winner of Gian versus Aljo is probably in the running. Mayweather versus Mike Tyson is definitely not happening on April 25th, we're hearing, and will now occur at a later date, and the Congo setting is unsure. So it's not confirmed that it will be in the Congo. Yeah, I was saying this. I don't understand why people were so much like, oh, it's happening, because it was a report that it was tentatively set for April 25th in the Congo. Nothing confirmed, and I don't believe it until it's announced. I don't think this exhibition ends up happening at all. I'm surprised it's being strung along this long, but who knows? Maybe they really are trying to make it happen. Rolly Romero says that Manny Pacquiao is broke and kept calling him out because he was, once it needed that fight and was asking for more and more money, which is why the fight didn't happen. Um, okay. I believe that. And then Rolly also says that he didn't want to hurt Manny Pacquiao and hurt his legacy, and he wouldn't get credit for it anyways, which is honestly pretty smart. He's right. Now, of course, Rolly is close to getting a deal done with Devin Haney, we're hearing, because he wants to avoid his mandatory in Chakram Giasov. I really want Giasov to get his title shot. It just doesn't look like it's going to happen. It's a shame Rolly versus Pacquiao didn't happen, but Rolly versus Devin is probably the fight I would most like to see out of all of those, although I really want to see Giasov get a shot. Speaking of Manny Pacquiao, MP Promotions is apparently going to be the lead promoter behind Mayweather Pacquiao 2. This is surprising to me. I was expecting somebody like Ring Magazine or Zuffa or MVP to be, the real promoter behind it, just because it's such a huge event. You need a legit major promoter backing this. And MVP Promotions is good, but they're not a major promoter who have put on an event at the Sphere level. It would not look very good. So you have to think Netflix is taking up a lot of the slack in terms of the promotion and the actual event side of it, where usually they're just kind of the broadcaster. Here they're going to have a much more lead role in the actual production and promotion of the event. Some other updates. Mario Barrios has confirmed that he's moving up to the super welterweight division. Doesn't surprise me. He's a pretty big welterweight. We'll see how much success he has at super welterweight. I have the suspicion that Mario Barrios is not going to get a lot of big opportunities after what happened in his last two fights, and it's going to be very hard for him to get another title shot, and he's going to turn into kind of like a gatekeeper. That's just what I see happening. I don't see him becoming a guy at 154. That is a much tougher division, but we'll see. Logan Paul versus Le'Veon Bell is going to be next Saturday as a sparring match. Logan Paul has gone viral because he put out this thing again. He's in his war with Tom Brady, all of his beef there. He said, look, I'll pay $1 million to any NFL player who wants to come and fight me. And Le'Veon Bell answered the call. He said, look, bro, I'm a boxer, and I used to be in the NFL. And Logan's like, you don't really qualify. I'm an active NFL guys, and you actually do fight. But it looks like he wasn't ducking. He says, all right, fine. They set up the rules. They're gonna have judges. They're gonna actually no. I don't think there are judges. I think they said they're gonna go 3-minute rounds, 10-ounce gloves. They're gonna go until either one of them gets knocked out or they say I quit. I hope this gets live streamed. This is a fight that should have happened on Misfits about 3 years ago and never did. I would pick Logan Paul to win this fight. I don't know. I mean, Le'Veon Bell is a decent boxer, so I actually like this matchup a good bit. Yeah, should be kind of fun. Just a very random thing. Oscar Duarte is apparently confirmed to be returning on the Benavidez Zurdo card. Seems like a lot of Golden Boy guys are going to get to come back on that. I'm glad Duarte is going to get to fight again. Maybe they can get a deal for Hitchens to defend against him on the card, although I doubt it. Hitchens is going to have to defend against Delgado now, or maybe even just vacate. But I am hopeful that Duarte still gets a good fight. One that I'm thinking of just now, PBC guy Frank Martin. They are in the same division, and that would be a banger. So that's just a thought. Moving on from there, BKFC 88 has been officially confirmed for April 17th in Denver. It's going to be headlined by Chris Camozzi versus Esteban Rodriguez for the interim cruiserweight title. Not sure where Alessio Sakara is, but this is a really good main event. I like that card a lot. I like that fight a lot. The undercard looks like it's going to be pretty fun. Some fun BKFC matchups. They also announced Blood for Blood, which is going to be in May 6th in Daytona, and it's a BKFC X heavy metal kind of thing. So it's going to be interlap between BKFC fights. Not sure that they're actual main BKFC fight. I think it's kind of like celebrity BKFC fights. I'm not sure, with like a heavy metal concert in between the fights. Going to be really interesting. I don't know if it's going to be broadcast. I don't know if it's BKFC co-promotion or what, but it's just a weird event. BKFC is always doing weird stuff. They've got the cruise coming up, so we'll see how that one plays out for them. Some PFL updates. Taylor Lapilus versus Jake Hadley has been confirmed for the May 23rd card in Brussels. I like that fight. I like Lapilus. He's coming off a great win. Good opponent in Hadley. Or good enough, I guess. Rafion Stouts versus Renats Kavalov has been confirmed for April 11th at PFL Chicago. That's number 2 versus number 7 in the bantamweight division, so a really fun fight. Walter Walker, unfortunately, is out of the Marcin Tybura fight on March 28th. That's unfortunate. This was, a shot up the rankings. He's obviously one of the bigger prospects in the heavyweight division, and hopefully he's going to get another heel hook, but he's out. Hopefully, I think March 20th lost another fight for that card as well, so hopefully they can get a good replacement in for Tybura, maybe. Some other stuff. Kameda Promotions have won the purse bid for Wilibaldo Garcia versus Jason Maloney. Or maybe it's Andrew Maloney. I can't remember. I didn't even know that they represented Maloney. I don't think they represent Garcia. That's why I say that, because Garcia's with Box Stars, but fair enough. We know that they are apparently planning another event in Kyrgyzstan, so word on the street is that this would be on that card, a Mexican versus an Australian in Kyrgyzstan. Sure, why not? But definitely blows this won't be on a matchroom card on the undercard of BAM or something because he'll likely fight the winner. ProBox TV has announced that Rene Tejas Giron is going to be fighting Malik Montgomery in the co-main event of their March 28th card, headlined by Costa vs. Rios. That's a great, great co-main event. Both these guys are, Rene Tejas Giron is coming off a good performance, a good win over, what's his name? Oh, Jordan White. And Malik Montgomery is coming off of 2 losses against solid opponents. This is a really fun ProBox level matchup, and I can see it going either way. I think I'm going to go with Tejas to get the win. But that would definitely set Montgomery on a 3-fight losing streak where he's already, before that he was undefeated. So really interesting times there. They also announced just today that Friday, April 10th, they're going to be at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. Main event is going to be Herbert Conceição versus Johan Gonzalez. Big step up for Conceição. Gonzalez just challenged for the world title. I mean, this is a really, really good fight. Gonzalez is always fun. Co-main event is going to be Francisco Verón back in action. He's super fun. He's going to be fighting Raul Garcia. And then you've also got Senbatar Erdanabet versus Muhammad Yakubov. That is my favorite fight on the card. These guys are both awesome. This is a really, really good fight. And you also have William Foster III against Joshafat Ortiz. So a very, very solid lineup of Pro Box fights. It's maybe my favorite card they've done this year, just with all – these are truly all like 50-50 fights or at least close to it. Really excited for April 10th now. Moving on from there, Pacquiao Jr. has been confirmed to be returning on the April 3rd card, headlined by Pedro Tatarant's title defense. We expect him to be on there, but now he's got announced for it. Some MF Pro updates. Amir Anderson is back. He's going to be fighting Jordan Dujan. So kind of a step up, I guess. Kind of a step down from Joe Laws. But all right. On the April 4th Chisora Wilder undercard, Dan Toward, who's obviously with Wasserman, which is now just MF Pro. He's going to be back as well. He's going to be fighting the 7-0 Misael De Viga. So a tough matchup for him. It seems like MF Pro, they're trying to do tough matchups for these kids. So like to see that. It was also announced by Amir Khan Promotions. They're back in Nigeria doing another Chaos in the Ring card. This one is going to be May 1st. Some interesting fights on it. The main event is, hold on, let me find what it is because I wasn't even familiar. It's Carter F.A. versus Portable or Portal. I'm not sure with either of those guys. It's a crazy picture of F.A. on the poster. But you also have Ezra Arniek on the card, Mikey McKinson on the card, Samuel Antwi on the card. And the most interesting fight to me is Elvis Ahorga versus Joe Laws. That is just pure chaos. I love that matchup. Whoever thought of that is very smart. It's going to be very fun. But it's live on DAZN, May 1st. Maybe it'll be fun. Their cards have been okay. So we'll see. And then I'll just end it with a bit of more of an interesting, fun topic. Luke Thomas absolutely crucified Mike Coppinger on Twitter the other day. Obviously, he said something about how the Ring magazine is just, not credible anymore. They've lost all credibility. And Coppinger responded, "Oh, yeah, because you're just the king of morals and ethics." And started saying, like, how is it? And he just completely slimed him out verbally and just had a 7-minute video just saying, like, oh, yeah, you sell yourself out. That's what you're known for. You're not a good reporter. You're not a good personality on TV. All you do is sell yourself out for Turkey and all them and everybody else. This is not the first time. And just completely shat on him, and Coppinger didn't even reply. I think that Mike Coppinger does a good job of reporting on the fights overall, I guess, but I don't think he's a good personality. I definitely think that he is way far up Turkey's bum. So I thought that Luke Thomas, who's very, very sharp, clearly, just annihilated him, and it was one of the best parts of my day yesterday. But that's all I've got for y'all. Thank you so much for listening. I hope everybody enjoys the fights this weekend. I cannot wait for Max vs. Charles. Undercard, not great, but it's a big UFC weekend nonetheless. You got Misfits Duel 2. That's going to be so much fun. You got Zuffa Boxing 4. So hope everybody enjoys. White House announcement coming soon. Thank y'all for listening, and peace out.